and welcome to episode 8 of Quarantine Conversations. I'm Samantha Lane with Lumina Coaching, and today we dive into balance, goals, mindset, and what supports ourselves to do the things that are important to us. The guest is Dr. David Gulledge. He has a successful chiropractor practice in Overland Park, Kansas, with his wife, Dr. Sharon, and also with his brother, Dr. Kyle. Definitely encourage you to check them out. I wanted to dive a little bit into the behind the scenes. What helps Dr. David show up as his best each and every day? And so thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks so much for joining, Dr. David. How are you doing today?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here and sharing with our listeners not only a little bit about chiropractic and the specialty and the way that you help so many patients, but I thought it would be good to have you on the podcast. We've been coaching since like January, I think, pretty regularly. And there's just been some ways that you approach your life with different positivity and looking at wellness around your whole life that I think is really fascinating and might be really helpful for some listeners to hear and understand. So before we dive into that, why don't you maybe just give whatever intro you would like to about, who you are as a husband, as a father, and as a business owner.
Sure. Thank you for having me on. So professionally, like you said, I'm a chiropractor. Own a business called True Health. We specialize in spine care, great chiropractic care. I have an awesome wife who I practice with, Dr. Sharon, and I have 2 kids, Bo, who's almost 5, and Jack, who's almost 2.
Oh, those are fun ages.
Yeah, that's just a quick, backstory on me.
Yeah, and how long have you guys been in practice?
A little over 10 years.
And if I remember correctly, it's evolved a little bit. Like your practice as it looks right now, you've changed to figure out what works the best for you guys. Do you want to share a little bit about that evolving?
Yeah, sure. Well, I started out with just a passion to help people and not very knowledgeable about business itself. But so that just changed. What we did change over time. There was a time where we actually had a medical staff with us. Then we had a medical doctor, a nurse practitioner, a big staff. And after doing that for a couple of years, just kind of examined, what do I really love doing? What am I passionate about doing? And what do people out there really, really need? Mm-hmm. So we ended up changing our business and making it a lot smaller and just focusing on our passion and what we felt was truly needed in healthcare. So we could be just the absolute best at that as opposed to having a lot of different things going on. So, yeah. So that's been a 10-year journey, but now we're focusing on just awesome spine care.
Awesome. So you made that switch to minimize staff about how many years ago? Or how recent was that?
That was probably 4 years ago.
Okay. And how's that been going then?
Oh, great. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less stress, and you're just focusing on your passion, not managing something that you're not that passionate about.
Yeah. Let's talk about that word focus a little bit because it obviously fits there for what you just shared in, it reminds me of that book, Essentialism, by Greg McKeown, about the stay in your lane and do it really well.
Yeah.
That seems to be, I don't know, a theme in your life.
Uh-huh.
How do you approach focus or decide what you want to focus on?
Uh-huh. It's been evolving over my life. I have a tendency to focus really hard on one thing to the exclusion of other things. But I'm getting better at that. So how do I decide what to focus on? I like to think about my life in quadrants. Mm-hmm. And they're all equally important and they feed each other. The first is just, love and relationships with other people, your relationship with God. That's love, career, your health, and your finances. So, everything in life, at least how I think of things, can fit in those 4 quadrants. If you can focus on each one of those and kind of maximize and do your best to be as good as you can in all of those, then I think you're doing a good job. So over time, I've evolved on focusing on trying to not just get off on these rabbit trails and maximize just one of those, but look at each 4 as one entity and focus on being the best you can at each one.
So part of what I'm hearing that is that by elevating these four and bringing the right focus, the right energy to each is really elevating like your wellness as a whole person, and like feels the best for you, if you want to say balance or successful or whatever it might be.
Yeah, for sure. And how you maximize each one of those can take years. I mean, you might be very naive, or I could be very naive about what one thing looks like, and it might take years of work and then refining what that really means to you. So yeah, that's going to be different for each person, but you always kind of checking in on yourself, how you're feeling. If you're feeling like your consciousness is continuing to evolve, your vibration, if you want to think of it that way, is ever increasing. That's how I kind of check in to make sure I'm doing right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So can you think of a time where maybe one of those quadrants was out of balance, or you weren't putting that quadrant into focus that was like healthy for you?
Yeah. Well, and I didn't always have this concept of these four quadrants, right? That's somewhat new. I mean, I got into chiropractic because I was into health and fitness, okay? And I just took that to an extreme, trying to maximize. It wasn't even about health anymore. It was just about performance, So I just took
That
that
was
to
the weightlifting world, right?
yeah, powerlifting. Yeah.
Powerlifting.
So I was just taking that as high as I could, and then just ended up hurting myself in a variety of ways, and then also just realizing that as the better I got, what's the point? Like, why put so much energy to get so much better? And then just being in the healing arts, when I first started, I would study everything, anything, I'd read everything about nutrition, everything about spine care, emotional techniques, by energy medicine, just anything. But you have to end up focusing on one thing. I never went down any crazy rabbit trails with money. I never really focused a lot on that, to the exclusion of anything else. So yeah, I've done that a lot. Yeah. But that's fine. My brother said something yesterday. It was funny. He said, if you're heading 100 miles an hour, you're going to find out if you're going the right way pretty quick.
Yeah. And that is definitely, I would recognize as a strength of yours, and maybe your whole practice, is the curiosity and adaptability to pivot where you need to.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit, if you don't mind, around, so I have information obviously around what this COVID time has looked like for you guys. And I believe it was January, February, you had your best month like ever. January. And then we're moving into March, where all of a sudden the world looked very different. Right. But if you want to share about, so kind of three-part, how you were approaching your goals at the beginning of the year, and what, maybe a little bit around what made January so awesome. And then, what happened when COVID hit, and then, how you pivoted and have recalibrated since then.
Yeah. Well, and this goes back to a lot of the work that we've done together, which has been awesome. Shout out to you there. In January, so I never really, as far as work, I never really had goals. I just loved to do it. I would come, I would serve, and it would always go right. It was always just fun and productive. So in January, we were talking, I thought, well, I'll have some goals around things. And that was just an amazing thing, because I did so well. I was just doing better than ever before and having so much fun.
Hold on. We got to slow things down, because there's a big difference between like making a goal and then the dozens of steps that you did in achieving that goal.
Yeah.
So maybe take people a little bit into your morning routine, your mindset with those goals, to keep them so front of mind as they were.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've always been a student of kind of the mind, the power of it. So I just decided to harness that towards work and productivity. And so I would carve out an hour in the morning, and it was maybe even more than an hour, but it was of kind of focused intention, prayer, meditation. And I would revisit really all those four quadrants, right? But also focus on my work, what I wanted to accomplish, why I wanted to accomplish it, all the people I wanted to help and serve. And I just kind of laser focused my consciousness And then that's all I thought about, even throughout the day. I don't think about other things. I just only think about productive things.
So during your day, sorry if I can interject here for a second. During your day, were you thinking around, um, like, oh man, did I see my number of patients that I wanted to see? Did I sell X number of new patient packages that I wanted to? Were those numbers on your mind, or was it kind of that and something else, or like?
I would say, so when I was thinking of my goals, I thought, what kind of, yeah, how many people would I be serving, seeing a week, a month, a year, if I was just the best I could be, that I could at least picture in my brain. So yeah, I would think about that often. And then I would also think about other parts of my life, how can I quantify and shoot towards these other quadrants? And that's just, I've made it my kind of mantra or.
Yeah. So this is really fascinating to me and maybe to other people, because there is kind of a growing thought pool around when we focus on the outcome, that can be potentially harmful because we're looking at the end result. And so I feel like you really found this way to marry, though, the end result with your daily actions and being so present with where you were at.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah. So that's an interesting thing because, and that was like such a breakthrough in January, because I always kind of, what I called it, walked the kind of the pathway of surrender or non-attachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just try to show up as the best me, and I don't care about the result. I'm just there to do good, and I trust good things will happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'm articulating that well enough, but I've been a student of meditation for a long time. And in meditation, right, you thoughts and feelings may come up and you just surrender them. And then you get to a place where you're good, you're okay with what is. So I've always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not always, but I've cultivated that. So then in January, I thought, well, I'll add to that like an affirmation of positivity. So not just surrendering, but I'll also add a focus. But it wasn't a focus on these things happening exactly. It was more of an intent that if I do that, I'll be better. And if those don't happen, I surrender that too. That makes sense?
Fair to say there was that word intention, there was a certain energy and intention that you were also surrendering to your days, saying, I can't control it all, but I can control this, and this will potentially really help me get that. Like the simplest way to put it.
Well, yeah. Yes. I wasn't, I guess how I'm organizing my thought process now, yeah, it's not necessarily an attachment to the goals per se, but it's trying to become the person that would allow those things to happen.
There we go.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense?
Yeah. That fit in my brain.
Okay, good.
And that you were really, I mean, again, none of this has happened overnight, and you were really curious about what are the different pieces that I can shift, even just like a 1% change, something like cleaning out that drawer so that your things were ready and available for you when you needed them.
Yeah. Yes.
Other things that come to mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So I decided to, going back to me trying to learn about the mind, the power of the mind and the subconscious or superconscious, depending on how you want to talk about it, just unburdening that to as much as possible. So, and I tried to even kick that up when this whole COVID thing happened, right? Because I felt, if you're going along doing well and society's doing whatever this, and all of a sudden society starts, the energy, the good vibes go down, what do you have to do if you just want to break even, you better just ramp up. So when that hit, I tried to just even do more on anything I could think of. Like I didn't used to wear a tie, but I thought, well, if things are worse out there, at least that's what people said, I would just dress better. I would organize everything, like every drawer in my house, every room in my office. I would do that better. When all the COVID stuff hit, I decided I was going to eat cleaner. I was going to exercise more. Everything better, because if things were down, I was going to go up. Mm-hmm. And then what you asked about my goals was, yeah, I had this stellar and crazy good start to the year. When this all hit, it kind of goes down just a little, but I'm still better than I ever was last year. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, truly amazing. And that when you told me your January goal and how you you were like, this was like my stretch goal. This was like, okay, this is,
Yeah,
and I hit that like kind of easily.
yeah.
And then still looking at, April and May then that you're still hitting your stretch goals,
Well,
or
so
where you at with the
when we talked, the I kind of had my year laid out to kind of ramp up like this.
uh
Again, I wasn't used to setting goals for work. So
yeah.
I kind of reorganized it. And basically, yeah, I'm averaging what I want my whole year, the best I could think my year to be. I'm doing
Yeah.
that on average this year, which is really eye opening to me and really shows the power of, your focused intent to do good,
hmm
keeping your mind right. People
hmm
can say the world's going bad, but if you keep your inner world going right, you have a huge power to keep things going in the right direction.
So I would love to come down to a couple of the practices you're implementing and experimenting around marketing and how you're still, moving forward so strongly. But I want to like divert for just a second because the way you're talking about this focus on work, someone might think to themselves, okay, well, what are happening in these other three quadrants right now?
Yeah,
You're bringing this intense focused work. And so I'm curious, what does that look like in those other three quadrants for you right
yeah. Well, I would say the first one, just love in relationships. I think it's only magnifying it. I'm not, I'm just becoming more efficient.
now?
I have to wake up early to get my morning routine in, but I don't mind doing that. But
Mm-hmm.
it
Like early people. He wakes up early.
well, I like to wake up, if I get up at 4:30, I can get that morning hour routine, which
Yep.
I happen to do in a sauna, which is fun. And
Yep.
then I work out, and then I'm ready for my family. But
hmm
when you do this and you have these focused, your subconscious mind is unburdened, and then your real heart can come out. You can love people more. You can be a better husband, father, doctor, everything when you're not burdened with these little subconscious things dinging around. So I think it's been, I haven't, when I first married my wife, she had the only thing she said is you could have a tendency to be a workaholic.
Yeah.
I think I could if I was unchecked, just work, but I don't. Um, so more focus, same amount of time, more productivity, subconscious mind, less cluttered. My relationships are even better. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say also I don't I don't have a I keep my fitness pretty good, and my nutrition. But I would say it's even allowed me to use these techniques to focus in and fine tune that.
hmm
So I think it's helped everything.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. Like it wasn't, we weren't looking for an overhaul. And I love that you said like same amount of time. Like that you didn't say, all right, I'm going to stay an hour late every day to like make up this goal. Or, if I want to work on a Friday, okay, I'll work on a Friday. Or, you can still make those choices, but you are like, all right, with what I have, what do I want to fine tune and tweak to improve?
Yeah. So you got to think of all the thoughts that go through your brain throughout the day. If you can just get rid of all the negative, and every time any little negative comes up, you just surrender that and replace it with a positive. Well, that's already way more productive than if you just didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That, and the, like you said, you've been practicing meditation for a while, but to really highlight that power of like our energy like goes up and down with our thoughts. Like our thoughts have so much power over our days and not just our productivity, but then that next moment, where maybe it's lost because we were, anyways. But
Yeah,
I think that's really great it's an encouragement for all of us out there to keep working on our thoughts and our
yeah,
positivity.
definitely. And as you do it, it's good because everyone around you can sense it to some degree, and you have a positive influence on everyone around you, and that's really fun to see.
Yeah. So to circle back then to in the workplace,
Uh-huh.
um, to still be, I mean, as a chiropractor, as somebody that's in a face-to-face profession in COVID time, and to still be growing and doing what you guys are doing, what are some of the things that you have implemented in either a marketing sense or just hey, we're going to take care of our people really well, that you think perhaps has made a difference in still having these great months?
Yeah. Well, I haven't done any marketing really,
Yeah.
as far as things that I haven't run any ads,
Mm-hmm.
but I just focused on um, taking his, I mean, I always do, but great care of my patients. But even, and just this whole time has made hopefully everyone realize how important our internal health is. So I just would tell people, hey, health is more important now than ever before, and we're here to serve. And I just think that intent and energy just helps. It drives, attraction towards you. So yeah, again, it wasn't, I didn't do anything different. I was just felt like I was vibrating differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any,
Yeah.
I don't have any marketing, tips. I'm still working on all that.
Well, so I'm going to plug one though that you've been sharing with me, which is simply asking people, who else do you know who's hurting or could need to be, like have this kind of care?
Yeah, simple. And that used to feel weird to me for some reason. Like, oh, I don't want to be pushy. But well, if you want to help everyone that they, their family, if you can get their family healthier, well, their lives better. If people at work, if they're hurting, their lives are better. So yeah, I'll just say, hey, if you know anyone, we'll take care of them just like we take care of you. Simple thing to say. It's genuine. It's sincere. And I don't know why. For years, I just didn't like saying it, but now I love it.
Yeah. And I would imagine the psychology behind that too. I mean, so I'm a patient of yours. So I go in, I have a headache, whatever. I get adjusted, I start feeling better. And so if you ask me that question, right after I'm adjusted and I'm feeling better, then there's like that law of reciprocity, right? Where, well, hey, he just helped me. And so I want to help him, and he's asking to help more people, and let's just all help each other.
Yeah.
But I do think there's something key around, if you don't ask, people might not tell you. We're all in our own brains so much and thinking from our own perspectives. And so we're like, great, check it off, went to the chiropractor today. But oh, now that he asked, well, yeah, actually, I've got my friend who keeps talking about her ankle hurting from, rolling it a couple, whatever.
Right. Yeah. I love it. It's good.
That's the thing. I'm glad you're doing it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I think the work that we've done has helped me just articulate this and focus on it. And I think I've made progress in this year that I would not have made had we not been just discussing my successes, what I can do to make it better. So even though I've been a student of this for a long time and I'm doing a lot of work, it so helps to have someone to talk about things and bounce things off of. So yeah,
Thanks.
it's so important. So
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. And I appreciate you saying that. Coaching supports people for different reasons in different ways. And for you, there is so much that, you're an avid learner. There's so much, there's very few, I think, tools that you were expecting me to give you, but perhaps articulating them out loud, like what's working, what's not, that sort of thing. But to me, it seems like having that carved out space, if it was every week or every other week now, or every 2 weeks now that we're doing, would you say that was one of the new things adding into your routine, to have a carved out space to say, what actions have I taken? What opportunities available to me?
Yeah, definitely. I loved it. I'm in the morning. All day I'm thinking about things and planning, but it's at the end of the week when we talk about what did I say I was going to do. Yeah, it gets me focused on what opportunities are coming up. And then when you ask me questions and we talk, how can we be more specific with what we want out of each one of those? So yeah, even though I have a carved out time every morning, it's just different, the one that we have. And it kind of caps it all off and then sets the stage for the next week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad it's been helpful. So I'm trying to think where from here, in the sense of other ways that you have decided to kind of like work on the whole person, or like you go either direction here, either things that are coming to mind that to share with the audience around what supported you to have that sense of balance and focus and health.
Yeah.
Or if you want to take it more like kind of the like what's next, like where do you go from here?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first question, let me see if I can restate it so I make sure I understand it. How did I get to this viewpoint of things, of balance?
Sure, that works. Yeah.
Let's see. That's a good question. Well, I think it starts out with maybe how you view like a large scale view of things, you know? So how I view the universe is that, we're all connected. There's one universal mind that we're all a part of. And that universal mind is intelligent and it's friendly to every one of us. And so if that's like your starting point, that filters down to the little things, and it makes you respect all the little things and have everything has value. And it also gives you faith and courage to do things that might seem risky and difficult.
So this idea that things are for you, not against you.
Yeah, like the whole universe is for you. Well, it's for you if you're for it, right? And you're working for the greater whole. It'll assist you going forward and unfold things that you couldn't plan. So if that's your starting point, it gives you great faith and courage to do good things because it's going to work for you. So I don't know if that even answers your question. That might have just been a tangent. But
no, I love it. So is that something that you, how did you first approach that concept and that, because I can tell then the way that you said that's a conviction. I mean, that's a core belief for you.
yeah.
Was it always that way, or that was something you kind of needed to cultivate for yourself?
I would say, well, my mom, very spiritual lady, very enlightened, just kind of grew up with that mindset. It always seemed natural to me. But I would say I was in my mid 20s. I was 26, and I was, student of meditation, and I had this really dramatic, kind of life-altering spiritual experience where all these teachings, you could just like feel them from within. You knew they were true, and that was just an amazing thing, and it changed me from then on. But you can hear someone say those words, and think, oh, I believe that or not believe it. But if you experience that and you feel it and you know it, then that's a different thing, So it was an upbringing and then a dramatic experience of seeing that.
Wow. So kind of like pre 26 years and post 26 years, that it really deepened for you.
You could put just a thing right in my life and say things were different from then on. But that doesn't mean I had everything figured out. It just changed my perspective, and it made me want to, serve more, be more. But I was naive about how to do that, and that's I'm still.
What are some of the books on your, well, I guess in your sauna, that's where you do your morning routine. What are some things that you've read lately or are reading?
Well, my favorite book I've read recently is called The Master Key System. I really recommend it for everybody.
I know you gave it to me, and I'm going to get to it, I promise.
Well, it's really good. I bought one for my brother, my wife, my staff. Did I give one to you? I gave one to you?
Yeah, thank you.
And I got one just to loan out. So I love it. It's really good. David Hawkins, he wrote Power versus Force, The Eye of the I, well, a bunch of books, and they're really, really good. Almost like a warning if you want to read those. It might take you out of the world for a while, it might scramble your brain, but they're great. And as far as business, chiropractic stuff no one cares about, but just I like The Richest Man in Babylon, Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich. Those are great as far as the financial components. So those are just some books I've read kind of recently.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'll put that in the show notes for people.
I haven't read David Hawkins' books recently, but I've probably read every one of his books many times.
Okay, I'll have to check him out. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, he's really good.
Awesome.
But you always have to read. There's so many great, smart, enlightened, successful people out there. I can't imagine why you wouldn't be reading all the time.
Well, and even that statement is interesting to me in the sense that, you're a busy guy. I mean, you're running a business. You've got 2 kids. You've got community things. You've got family to take care of, and really prioritizing learning, which I think is not too much of a surprise to people that know you in the sense that you have that aura of wanting to be your best, and that's what you bring to your work and bring to your family. So it's not, a surprise that you bring that to your learning too. But still, I think a lot of people have the desire to learn, the desire to, oh man, I wanted to read, who doesn't have a never-ending book list of recommendations, but to really make that a priority and carve it into your daily routine. I mean, is there a day that you're not reading?
Probably not. I mean, maybe if it's really busy, but that's the thing. It's not a chore. And if someone said they had a desire to do it, but they weren't, I would say, well, how often did you check your phone, your Facebook? How often did you watch the news? How often did you do these things? Because if you did that and you didn't read, then you didn't really have a desire, you know? That's how I think about it. So it's got to be a deep, real desire. And so it's not a chore. It's not like I'm like, oh, I got to do my reading. It's like, boom, pour the goodness in. So, but that goes back to subconscious mind. If there's something that you kind of desire on one level, but maybe on a deeper level, it's not syncing up, you can reprogram your mind to link up with a good desire. You can just tell yourself over and over, man, I love to read. I love to soak in good information so I can serve other people. That might not be true the first time you say it, but if you say it multiple times a day, every day for months, well, that's going to start getting in there, and then you're just going to start doing it naturally. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What are some of your tools for keeping things, let's say you want to change a thought process like that, you know, you want to like replace something that's not serving you with something that would serve you more. Do you journal? Do you put up Post-it notes? I mean, because so often, you know, for many people, myself included, like if it's not front, like visual or, you know, top of mind, then yeah, it might still really be deep back there, but it's not ingrained in sort of my daily practice yet.
Well, I like to write things down in a journal and then write down why, you know, why I'm doing this, how it's going to make, you know, me and everyone in my influence better, and make the quadrants of my life better. So kind of big picture, write down the specifics, maybe if I can quantify it. And then when I get up in my morning routine, I read that with conviction, sometimes even out loud. If you walk by, you might think I'm, you know, some weirdo in the sauna, but that's just what I do. It seems to work. So I'll read it in the morning, and then sometimes I even write it down. You know, I'll be like, I, David, M, and I'll just write it like 5 times. And then sometimes before I go to bed, I just write, if I really want to work on something, I just write it down, you know? Like with all the bad news and COVID and all these things going on, sometimes I'll just write, I, David, surrender the world to God and focus on myself. I surrender the world to God. I think it's weird, but I like it. So
yeah, just like washing these concepts over you.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'll make a recording on my phone of myself saying things, and then on like that I want to achieve and that I want to be and accomplish. And on the way to work, I'll listen to that as opposed to the news person telling me the worst things in the city of the day. You know, so those are things you try to put it in, bury it, get it deep in your subconscious mind, so it's not just an idea; it's really you.
Right.
Make sense?
So I'm really glad you shared that, because that kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. Like, you didn't just write a goal and go achieve it. I mean, you are looking at the goal like right in the eyes, you know, multiple times of every day, and you're taking action in your practices that are going to really be a healthy influence in achieving these goals. I know personally for me, so I started an experiment club this month, and it kind of came out of this concept of people have book clubs and movie clubs and whatever, and I've never been a part of one, but I see why they're so helpful, because, you know, you have the outside accountability, you have the camaraderie and different things like that. Well, I just have a list of things that I think would be fun to do or to try. And maybe they don't work for me, maybe they do. So I decided to call it an experiment club. And I think there's like 5 or 6 people that have said like they'll be my guinea pigs with me this first month. But my focus for the month is I've always wanted to do a handstand, like a true handstand. I can do a headstand. I practice yoga regularly, but I've just never put in the work. And so I've got a sticky note on my mirror that says practice headstand every day. You know, it's only, well, today's June 3rd that we're recording this, but the first 2 days I've practiced outside each day. But part of why I'm bringing this up is because this is one small thing. And like in the grand scheme of things, is it the most important thing in my life? Like, no, I mean, do a headstand, don't, or do a handstand, don't. But it's something that's just like been itching at me, and something, a cool way to challenge myself for a while. But I've also recognized that I couldn't pick 3 or 5 things to experiment with this month. Like that singular focus, because it's not a habit yet. And it's not even like, it's taking energy to even remind myself to practice a handstand.
Yeah. Well, so I'm not sure if there's, is there the question, but anyway.
You can give me feedback. You can give me tips. Coach me for a second.
I love the group that you've started, and you got to keep me posted. And I have a question. Does everyone have the same experiment? But what I'll say about your handstand, I would say, even though you said it's trivial, it's still cool, and it gives you confidence. And when you set a goal and you achieve it, you're like, well, what else could I do? You know, maybe I could learn how to do this, maybe learn that, and then it just do, and you can do anything. So
yeah, and putting more drops in that, and like feeling successful for the day, you know, where I just doing the handstand, practicing it brings that feeling of success, and like, all right, I'm doing something that I said I wanted to do. I'm following through on something that for whatever reason is important to me to whatever extent.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. But and what you said about how, you know, you focus on one thing, maybe not 5. I think it's really important to keep a pulse on your own internal energy state to make sure you're not driving yourself down with all like this load of things. You know, maybe I sound weird how with all the things I do, I'm not sure, but if that would be too much for me and I felt like I was being depleted, you know, I'd back off, or maybe I'm pushing really hard and then one weekend I take it a little easy, you know, but I don't do it out of, you know, weakness or apathy. It'd be more out of respect for, you know, my calibrating my energy system. So, but as you grow and as you get better at doing things, you'll be able to do more and more and more.
Yeah, and you can like scaffold and layer, and I appreciate you sharing that right there. It's out of respect, like to respect your body, to respect your mind. I mean, like the truest form of self-care, and that takes a deep self-awareness. You know, that you're not running through your day, you know, distracted, looking for things to just like be a band-aid and make you feel better. I mean, you've worked on this self-awareness for a long time, so you're able to recognize, hey, I need like some more rejuvenation and less work, you know, this day or that day or whatever it might be.
Totally. I get a lot out of my morning routine. You know, I just feel like you recharge, you repower, you get like universal energy coming in. So, there you go.
So you did, to answer your question about the experiment club, each person is just taking their own thing. So I tried to make it clear to them, I am not trying to coach you. This is for me and like needing to set up a system. But, you know, one person wants to do a certain amount of push-ups. One person wants to kind of work on their bucket list and like take some action steps to do a bucket list item. So yeah, we'll see, but I'm excited for me. And then, what do I want to focus on for July?
Cool. Well, good luck. I can't wait to hear about your handstand.
Thank you. Maybe I'll show you. Okay, well, we are out of time, but two quick questions, if we're able to make them quick. What is something that has been challenging for you, if anything, in this COVID time?
Challenging. Well, I don't know. I guess I look everything positive. So when anything goes bad, like supposedly bad, I just think, well, okay, we'll just pivot this way. So I don't know if it's been challenging. Well, maybe the people closer in my life, you know, seeing their energy kind of go down a little bit, you know, maybe that's a little challenging, but it just makes me want to, you know, motivates me a little more to keep my energy high. So it's tough when you see people around you, maybe their energy drop.
Sure. So on the flip side, has there been, you know, some pleasant surprises or something that's been, you know, even really helpful or that you're grateful for this time?
Yeah, I mean, it's even just as a family, you know, reflect on when we go back to normal, how do we want to commit our time? You know, were we overcommitting on the weekends maybe? Just to pause, to reflect on where we're putting our energies. And then, you know, if you think that was bad, I mean, just a lot of gratitude for how good we really have it.
Yeah.
And, you know, gave us time to, like I was saying, refocus on these things that maybe I could have been focusing on before anyway. So I think a lot of good comes out of it from just my my individual perspective of what happened.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I think a reminder for us all that like anything can be a gift, even if it doesn't look like it when it first arrives, and that, you're taking each day as a gift and making, this is where I'm at. I'm going to do the best with what I have.
Yeah. And
So,
maybe, and there were obviously challenges. I mean, we had to look at our everything outgoing and saying what's efficient, cut what's, we don't absolutely need. So, I mean, there were challenges, but they were just opportunities to become more efficient.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Thanks so much for sharing a glimpse of your work, a glimpse of your life, a glimpse of your heart. Really appreciate it. Many people can relate to feeling stuck when you're navigating a huge life change. It can be so discouraging when you're unsure about what next step to take. I'm Samantha Lane, a certified life coach, and I partner one-on-one with men and women to create clearer thinking and more purposeful action. I happen to specialize in those who are anticipating retirement, as that's a transition that's going to impact all areas of your life. If that's you, or if you know someone who's navigating a big life change, I hope you'll sign up for a free strategy session at lumina-coaching.com. Thanks for watching Quarantine Conversations. I hope you enjoyed.